And we are live. Just want to make sure that we were actually live. We haven't been doing the show every night like we usually do, so we've been cutting it a little bit short because of everything going on with my wife being deployed and everything else. I just wanted, before we get started, I just wanted to say if you want to support the show and stuff that we do, you can always go to Patreon. Um, .com/John Crump, or you can make a one-time donation at paypal.me/JohnCC. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what we're doing with some of the funds that we bring in, or actually all the funds we bring in. We are producing these, which are little ear protectors for our first responders and people in the doctors' offices and stuff. We're producing 500 of these. The first 100 are going out tomorrow. One of the hospitals that they're going out to, and we are going to be working with, is Bellevue Hospital in New York, who has been absolutely inundated with COVID-19 patients. We're also producing face shields, which I don't have a full face shield with me right now, but I do have this right here, and this goes on and have a plastic piece and everything else like that. Got to add the elastic, the foam, and the actual face shield itself to that. So we're doing that, and also we're sending out about 100. Uh, yes, and my black friend is on, and we are also sending out about 100 N95 masks. So we're doing 150 face masks, 500 ear protectors, 100 N95 masks. So that's where all the money and then some is going to that we raised through our Patreon. So I'll be pushing that kind of heavily from now on until we get through this whole entire crisis. Tonight, my guest is a guest that my friend Devin, Trenchworth Chronicles, my black friend, according to him, not me, so don't call me a racist. Please don't call me racist. I've been called that enough. And our guest is Velocity Vixen, and she is here right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Now, how do you want me to refer to you? Velocity, Velocity Vixen? How?
You can just call me Cassie.
Kathy. Okay, that works. I don't know. I like
Cassie. Cassie.
Cassie. Well, I'm going to call you Kathy. Cassie. So, Devin told me a little bit about you. You are a firearms trainer and you do a lot of content creation. And you're also a 2A advocate and a mom, a single mom.
More of an advocate and single mom than anything, I guess.
All right. Well, let's get into how you got into firearms. How did you first discover firearms?
Well, I bought a firearm. I bought a gun to carry just for self protection. Had a crazy ex. It wasn't actually until a year later that I really got into firearms. And that I just discovered by accident. I was out on the range shooting and just fell in love with it. So took it up.
So you took it up, fell in love with it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I know there's a lot of gun owners out there that aren't exactly strong on the Second Amendment and not Second Amendment advocate. And Second Amendment advocate. You are a Second Amendment advocate.
Yes.
How did you cross over from being a firearm voter into getting into becoming a Second Amendment advocate, so to speak?
I didn't really. I got more into the 2A community, started talking to more people, just sort of start paying more attention to the laws that are being passed, that bills that are being put up. And the more I paid attention to it, the more I started to care, I guess you could say, and then got more and more involved in it that way.
All right. So you have a crazy ex, and that's what caused you to get your first gun and to carry. Was that a tough decision, or was that something that you just said, "I have to do"?
Um, I don't think that it was a tough decision. It was the last resort, I guess you could say. I had tried everything else. I had filed police reports. I had done all of that. I had um, sort of a community watch going on with neighbors and friends, and I had emergency words that I could text a friend. So it was a last resort, I guess you could say, but it wasn't a hard decision. I was fine with it. I was, I would say, afraid of the firearm when I got it. I was totally that girl who didn't want to carry chambered. I did all that.
All right. So you now
I'm sorry?
you carry chambered down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. So you got it. You got your first gun. You went to the range, and did you get instruction, or were you self-taught at first?
Um, well, I took my CCW class and then started carrying. And then after that, I thought I live in a very rural area, so I had this idea that I was going to have all of these farm boys that could teach me anything. That's not true. It didn't take me very long to figure out that they don't know much of anything. Sorry, guys, you don't. So I started looking up different things. I would watch YouTube. I did somewhat self teach for a little while, but I wasn't really into firearms at the time. It was more like a security blanket at the time that I got it. It was just like this shield I got to carry and have, and it made me feel safer to know that I had it and had a way to defend myself. It actually didn't occur to me at the time that I didn't know how to use it to defend myself.
All right. Now with your I see you're a right now too. Now with your crazy ex, was he into firearms or not really?
Nope,
Good. I mean, sorry, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, your sound went away there for a second. So,
No, I've never seen him shoot a firearm. I've never seen him even pick one up.
all right. And would you recommend for other women who are in the same situation that you are in to go get training to get a firearm to protect themselves? And what do you say? Well, let's answer that first, and we'll go for the next question.
Everyone carries a firearm. Well, assuming that they're mentally stable to do so, but unless they're afraid of it, I guess. But yes, I would. I would tell any woman who was in that situation that she needed to get a firearm and learn how to use it and train as often as she can.
I'm not sure if you've seen this video, but there's a video of a woman who was raped speaking in front of the state legislature out in Colorado. And one of the men on the state legislature, when she was saying, "Hey, we need to have constitutional carry. If I would have had a firearm, maybe I could prevented myself from being raped." And one of the guys, who's a representative in not Chicago, in Colorado, told her, he went, "I'm sorry, honey, but chances are he could have taken that gun away from you and killed you if you would have had a gun." What would you say to that guy?
Well, I think that it is, they always tell you, if you get into training, they'll start telling you that you bring the gun to the fight. So you've introduced the gun to the fight. And it's up to you to keep it. It's up to you to create distance and get that training that you need to do that. Um, so, I mean, is it possible that what he's saying is true? Maybe. But it's also very possible that she got the training necessary to drive her attacker away. 90% of the time, simply introducing the firearm to the encounter makes the bad guy go away.
Yeah, but you got to pull that trigger.
I'm sorry?
And you got to be prepared to pull that trigger if necessary. Yeah, it's one of the things that I always stressed when I used to teach. I don't really teach anymore, but I used to teach, and that's one of the things I always used to stress is if you bring the gun to the fight, you have to be prepared to use that gun.
Yes, because that hesitation can very well give the gun to him. He can take it from you.
Yeah, you definitely can. But I just thought it was very, very condescending for this guy to be telling this rape victim that, hey, it was, well, it's better that you're still alive because if you had brought a gun, he could have killed you with it instead of saying, I want you to have every advantage possible to even the playing field.
It is condescending. Chances this guy sounds like he's completely ignorant about firearms
Yeah,
himself.
even Democrats, he definitely is ignorant about firearms. So you're also a teacher. Am I correct in hearing that?
An instructor,
An
yes.
instructor, NRA certified, or what type of instructor are you?
In basic pistol and defensive handgun.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so you do a lot of classes, or not really?
No, I'm actually just getting into starting to do my own courses.
Yeah, it's fun. You'll learn a lot of different techniques to work with people. One of the techniques that I used to love using when I used to teach a basic handgun is thumb placement. I would bring a Sharpie and put a line between the two thumbs to help people line it up.
That's
It,
actually not a bad idea. I might steal it from you.
yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead. 'Cause
I have I've worked with quite a few instructors over the last few years, and I've stolen all kinds of ideas from them.
yeah, it should be an exchange. So, what part of the country are you in?
I live in Ohio.
Ohio. All right, we have some people from Ohio that actually watch our show pretty religiously. I don't see them out there. But also the comments aren't really working. We're missing a lot of comments from everywhere but like one YouTube channel, I think. But that's fine. But I'm not sure if he's out there. So John, if you're out there, we got another Ohio person. Yeah. Mike DeWine, which is the Ohio governor, is not exactly good on the Second Amendment. He
No, not really.
he's a Republican, but he's not a strong Second Amendment supporter.
He's a Republican.
A rhino, Republican in name only.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mike DeWine is not very good with this whole corona pandemic thing going on. Originally, the gun stores in Ohio were shut down, I believe, but now they're open.
Mhm. Yeah, the shutdown didn't last long at all. I think it was only a couple days.
Yeah, now they're open. Now they've had a lot of pressure from different groups threatening to sue, and so they backed down out there. But yeah, Mike DeWine
Mhm.
not a very good Second Amendment supporter. He's better than my governor. I live in Virginia, so I have Northern.
If
Yeah,
you're in Ohio or follow Ohio, uh, Chris Dorr from Ohio Gun Owners, he's one you want to follow if you want to keep track of what's going on with the legislators.
yeah. Chris Dorr. I know who Chris is.
Hmm.
Yeah, he runs Ohio, the Dorr brothers. Yeah,
Hmm.
interesting group of people. That's, but my organization, GOA, also we do a lot of tracking of Ohio stuff as well. Ohio, they try to sneak a lot of stuff through the back door, and your Republicans up there aren't that good. At least in Virginia, our Republicans are good on the Second Amendment. We don't have enough of them, unfortunately. We have more Democrats than
I really
Republicans.
feel like most of our Republicans aren't really Republicans. They're rhinos. They're selling their vote to the highest bidder
Why do you think that?
because they go back and forth, refuse to, or they'll refuse to stay and go on record.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Ohio is the amount of Ohio politicians that won't go on record and vote they seem to always try to uh, like pass the buck, or they won't give any direct answers. They'll answer very matter of factly, or try to do some word jujitsu, as I like to call it, to not state their opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, because their opinion will change from one speech to the next,
It
and
depends
they
on
never really go on record.
Yeah, it depends on who they're speaking in front of. But that's politics in general. The lobbyists have way too much power in politics, and I say that being like a lobbyist myself, basically, for an organization. But we need to find a way to change that, because lobbyists have a lot of power. Look at like Bloomberg. Bloomberg dumped tons of money into Ohio politics, and to Republicans as well in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize that. They think Bloomberg only gives to Democrats. But if you look at Ohio specifically, you look at um, some of the politicians that Bloomberg has gave to in Ohio, in like states like Florida, and you notice that his front groups, have given money to a lot of Democrats, and not Democrats, Republicans, which vote for um, liberal policies. Um, such as gun control.
Such as gun control. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yes. You have a lot of that goes on in Ohio.
yeah, it kind of sucks, but that is the way it is. Ohio is starting to get a Second Amendment sanctuary movement going.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a couple months ago, there was no counties in Ohio that had any type of Second Amendment sanctuary movement going, and now it seems like I think at last count you had like 8 or 9 counties with Second Amendment sanctuary movements that says no matter what Ohio legislature does when it comes to gun control, we are not going to enforce unconstitutional gun laws. Are you familiar at all with the Second Amendment sanctuary movement in Ohio?
Yeah, somewhat. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I agree with they're not enforcing unconstitutional laws, but when you start establishing these sanctuaries where you don't enforce the laws, that's a very slippery slope to me.
Yeah, but the sheriffs and the police department, they do take an oath to, and also the elected officials do take an oath to the Constitution of the United States.
That
And
they do.
my counter argument with that is they're not saying that they're gonna not enforce constitutional law. They're saying they're not gonna enforce unconstitutional law.
That I agree with. But then you have counties that decide that they're going to go ahead and enforce or refuse to enforce constitutional law because they want to challenge that.
Like in terms of the Second Amendment, what type of
Not in terms of the Second Amendment, in terms of other laws.
are you talking about? Like immigration sanctuary cities?
Hmm.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's totally different. Immigration isn't a right. Uh, the right to bear arms is a right. It says right there. It's the Second Amendment. There's
Hmm.
no amendment in the Constitution that says that you can come into the country illegally and we owe you the right to a living. That's just not in the Constitution, and I don't think it should be. So I think
Oh, yeah.
those two Second Amendment, the Second Amendment sanctuary is a little bit different than the immigration sanctuary cities because of the one's a constitutional right, one is not. I also think that um, the Second Amendment sanctuaries are kind of smart because they're gonna play like a play out of the Democrats' playbook, and saying I'm saying Democrats loosely because they're mostly you can't really be a Democrat without being a gun grabber and being in power at least. I mean, you can be like a Democrat like you and I, but you can't be like a elected official Democrat and not be a gun grabber. Um, so
No, yeah, I think you have to be a gun grabber to be in the club.
yeah, it's like they won't issue you a membership card. Uh, they have tried to sneak past a bill in Congress, like a new assault weapons ban bill, in the federal legislature because of the whole Corona thing. They're just trying to get it through without anyone noticing. But I think gun owners have noticed. I take it you would be against a assault weapons ban.
What's an assault weapon?
Well, that is the real question. You know how they got that term assault weapon?
No, actually, I don't.
I want to say hi to Kelly Allback from Facebook. That's my sister, actually, and Gary Ramey. Gary Ramey is the owner and president of Honor Defense. They make really great handguns. Okay, basically, there was a group which is still around called the Brady Organization. It used to be called the Brady Campaign for the Prevention of Gun Violence. The leaders of Brady um, decided they wanted a ban on certain semi-automatic guns, but the American people weren't really for that. So they took the term assault rifle, which is a real term, which means a fully automatic or select fire weapon, like M16, whatnot. And they took the assault from there, and then they added the weapon. So took assault rifle, stuff the rifle, put a weapon, say, hey, we made up a new term. And then
Yeah, it's
they,
just a made up term. For the record, I am for any weapon. I don't believe in outlawing any of them.
yeah, it's kind of funny. There's a meme going around that says, um, you know, what is it? It says like, so you're for any weapon, so that means you can own a tank. And the guy's like,
Mhm.
and the guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna go own a tank dealership if they get rid of it. And I agree. If you have the money for a tank or F-16,
I mean, if you can afford it, buy a tank. I don't have the money for a tank, but I would like to. That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Kermit Love Bacon. I've talked to the people on the tubes over there already. So yep. Uh, welcome to YouTube. Kermit Loves Bacon is a good guy as well. Tunes in quite often. He wants to know how the lockdown is treating you. Being a single mom, how many kids do you have?
3,
Three. What are their ages?
16, 14, and 12.
Okay, so they're a little bit older, so a little bit easier than my kids right now.
No, no, they're not easier. The trouble just gets different. It doesn't get easier. It just gets different.
Yeah, that is true. I always say next year is gonna get easier, and it just doesn't.
No, it
Next year,
just changes. When they're little, like yours are little, so they need you more. But when they get older, they still need you. It's in different ways, and the issues change.
or their schools are shut down in Ohio too.
Yes.
So how are you dealing with that?
That's fine for me. It doesn't bother me for my kids to be home. They fight, and that is somewhat annoying. But I'm totally the parent who is kind of sad when school starts, just because it cuts back on how free we are to do things. Well, right now we're on quarantine, so you're not free to do anything anyway. But when your kids have school all day and then they have a couple hours of homework, then it really cuts back on how much time I have to do things with them or go places. And you're always in a rush to get back home so they can get showered and get in bed at a decent hour. So, no, I don't mind them not being at school. I'm fine with it. If I could change that, they'd never go back.
Yeah, I end up having to be his teacher in a lot of ways, which is kind of hard. You have all this other stuff to do, and now you're a teacher as well. I want to give a shout out to John Voorhees out there, Ohio native right there. But yeah, so teaching my kids is just sometimes hard. What area of Ohio are you from?
I'm about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati. So it's a little teeny tiny town. Homeschooling my kids is really hard because my oldest is an all honors student. So he's smarter than me.
That could be,
I hope he doesn't see this.
yeah, that could be an issue. Uh, yeah, honor classes. I remember those in high school.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, a lot of their work is probably computer based, though, right?
Yes, yes. All of
Yeah.
it's online right now. You can go to the school 1 day a week and get printouts, which I prefer to do just so especially for the youngest, because it helps me to be able to work with him. And it just makes it easier for me to do it with him. If I can write it down in front of him and show him what I'm doing, rather than try to explain it on a screen for him.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting time, especially being a parent. Um, but yeah, did they start right away when schools were shut down, or was there like a delay? Because some people I talked to, there was a delay before when school started for their kids.
Yeah, we had a big delay. Actually, ours was, I think it was a couple weeks.
Yeah, my 6-year-old he goes to a private school, so they they had off that Monday. The school shut down on that Thursday. They had off that Friday and Monday already, so
Hmm.
they lost that Thursday, but by Tuesday they were back up and running, which I think is so they
Um,
only lost like Monday. But I think that's because the private school they don't have to go deal with the whole school district. It's one school.
well, we didn't have online classroom or Google Classroom for all of our classes. Not all of our teachers participated in that. So there was a big rush to first, they said we were just going to take those 2 weeks off, and then the next 2 weeks, I think, was our spring break, anyways. So we were going to just have that. And then they thought that we were going to come back. So when they realized that we weren't going to come back, then there was a big rush to try to figure out something, what we were going to do.
Yeah, it sucks to be graduating. Now with your teenagers, do you go shooting with them, or are they into guns at all?
The youngest, actually, the 12-year-old, is more into firearms. My daughter, she's 14. She was when she was 11, 12, and 13, I'd say. But she's currently in that I hate everything that you like phase, which is normal. The oldest has never really been into firearms. I did require that he learn how to use a firearm. It's just my rule. I wanted to make sure that they knew how to load it, they knew how to handle a firearm safely. The youngest is really just being trained. He's 12, so he just started being trained this year.
Yeah, that's good. Um, I'm going. Oops, sorry, I kicked you out. I'm going to start training my son when he's about 10 years old. I wanted to start him earlier, but I have to deal with my wife, and that was her compromise at 10.
I would have started training him earlier. He wanted to, but at that time, I was in the middle of the divorce and everything that was going on with that, and it was just best for me not to be training him in the middle of the divorce.
Yeah, you shoot pistols or you shoot rifles too, right?
I do.
What type of rifles do you have?
Let's see. I
You,
have.
you general.
My favorite is her name is Sparta. She has a name.
Oh wow.
It's a Ruger. I name all my guns. She's a Ruger Precision, chambered in 308 7.62.
Okay,
Uh,
it's long range shooting. I take it.
that's what. Yeah, that's the intention with that one. We do have several AR-15s. We have a Daniel Defense M4V11 in there. We have a SIG. The SIG's a 308. The others are 5.56. We have a Ruger Precision 6.5 Creedmoor in there. So Yeah, we have some rifles too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into long range shooting. I've actually done a mile shot with a Ritter and Sark chambered in 338 Lapua, which was fun. It was from like mountain to top to mountaintop. I've done a lot of 1,200 yard, 1,500 yard shots as well. I have a Remington 700 with a MDT chassis. Um, a lot of trigger work, a lot of stuff done to it. And it has a Timley uh, trigger in it. One of the high end triggers, so it's fun. I love long range shooting. It's calming.
That was the goal this year, that I wanted to get more training into distance shooting and long range. Um, doesn't look like that's going to happen, at least not now, not
Yeah,
until this quarantine is lifted and you can really start getting back into that. A lot of instructors are canceling their courses.
yeah, I have noticed that. The, which I have mixed feelings about. I understand why they're canceling their courses, but I wrote an article for Outdoor Magazine that's gonna be coming out. When you write for a print magazine, like I got one coming out for Outdoor Magazine. Oops, sorry, hit the wrong button there. It takes a long time for it to come out, but it has to do with um, the new buyers. And in March, 65% of guns were sold to people who never owned a gun before.
Mhm.
So even though we're in a pandemic and everything, and I understand why they're canceling things, I also know that all these new people who never owned a gun before need to learn how to shoot.
Yes, I think instructors and people from the 2A community in general really need to start rolling out the red carpet. Um, when the big rush to go buy guns first hit, there was a lot of just sort of outright annoyance at all these new gun owners, and oh, now you want to come over to our side. Like, this is what we wanted, though. This is what
Yeah,
we wanted, was for them to wake up and realize we've been preaching to the choir for how long, and now they finally figured it out. It doesn't matter what it took for them to figure it out. Be welcoming.
yeah.
Come on over.
Make them an ally. That's what I think. You don't make them an ally, we're gonna lose ground. But if we make them an ally, we come out of this a lot stronger than what we went out with it. There's not a lot of silver lining to a pandemic, but the new gun owners and having new allies in the Second Amendment um, group is a major upside, which there's not a lot of major upside. But yeah, but we need to become more welcoming as Second Amendment advocates. Make them Second Amendment advocates. Show them why we need the Second Amendment. And I think a lot of them are understanding why we need the Second Amendment now.
Yeah, and right now is not the time, sorry, to be canceling your courses. Now is the time for you to be having all kinds of courses, especially beginner courses. Throw beginner courses as often as you possibly can. Um, because there's so many out there who don't know how to use a firearm. They're out there buying these guns they don't know how to use, which is good that they're buying them. It's good that they realize that they need to buy them. But the last thing we need right now is a bunch of dangerous accidents to occur. That's not going to help us any.
Yeah, exactly. I know Tactical out there, a good guy out there, out in Arkansas, I believe. But yeah, we really need to get these people trained up. Even if they can't do training in person, there is a guy who runs open source. What is it? Open source defense. Chuck Rossi, and he's teaching classes online in basic gun safety, and at least they need to do that. Uh,
I did a couple on Instagram Live, or Instagram, not live, Instagram video chat. So whatever you got. And I met one girl in a park, no less.
Yeah,
She didn't want anybody to know that she had purchased a firearm. So I'm not going to call anybody out by name because I haven't asked them if that's okay. But in her case, I know specifically that it's not. But she has two little toddlers, and she had just moved back home with her mother, who's very anti-gun. She felt the need to go buy a firearm. Her reasons I'm not going to discuss, but she knew nothing about this firearm. She didn't know how to use it at all. So she met me in a park.
yeah. Well, here, here is something that I've noticed, and this is a kind of a funny story. I used to know a guy, very, very anti-gun. He hated guns. He was a mom's demand action type person. He did not like guns. And then one day he goes, "Hey, John, can I talk to you away from everyone?" I'm like, "All right." And he takes me over to the corner. He's like, "Hey, do you have any time this week to go to the range?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I just bought an AR-15. I need someone to show me how to use it. Do you have any time to go to the range and teach me? I'll pay you." I'm like, "But you're anti-gun." He goes, "I have to be for my job." I'm like, "What the hell?" He didn't want to like take crap out of his work because so he pretended to be anti-gun and he really wasn't, which was kind of sad.
That is sad. That's terrible. I do know people who work for the state, especially. I have a few friends that work for the state, and they stay away from politics or anything that has to do with firearms publicly, like on their Facebook page and their social media stuff. They have to be careful what they post and what they like and stuff like that, which makes sense, but they don't go around being anti gun behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I worked when I worked at Facebook. Uh, I worked at Facebook. I come from I don't come from Silicon Valley, but I work for a lot. I worked for a lot of Silicon Valley companies, and I would get messages from people saying, "Hey, are you the John Crump that writes for AmmoLand?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, that's me." And they're like, "I read your stuff," and it was like a big secret, that they couldn't say that I'm a gun guy and I work for Facebook. And there was a secret. There still is a secret gun group for Facebook people, and it's just sad that it's that way.
Listen, there's a bunch of secret gun groups on Facebook. I'm in a bunch of them.
Yeah, but this one was like Silicon Valley people, like some big wigs that you would not suspect of being gun people.
I have no idea, honestly, who's in those groups. I don't really pay that much attention to who's in them.
Yeah, I'm in one.
They're people I don't even know, anyways. A lot of times I'll end up leaving them because they share stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with firearms or the firearm community, and that just gets annoying. So,
Yeah, I will say that I'm in a small Facebook group of about 200 people. And one of the people that posted in that group is a very well-known tech person, and you're like, "Wait, what?" And it's like, "Oh, like you're a gun guy?" And he's like, "Yeah."
mhm.
Like, are you joking? And no,
There's
it's
secret social media groups all over the place.
yeah, it's funny though. 'Cause I never expected this guy to even be in this group, much less a gun guy. But yeah, but we need to reach out across and let people know it's okay to be gun people. Come out of the
Yes, well, right now is a good time to be welcoming all the new gun people. They've been told for the last 10 years that we're some sort of monsters. And now is not the time to prove them right. Now's the time to welcome them in, take them for training, educate them, send them some articles.
yeah,
Be nice.
I am friends with Dan Gross, who was anti-gun as it come. I don't know. Do you know who Dan Gross is?
No.
He was the first president of the Brady organization from basically the conception until 2016. The
Okay.
biggest anti-gun group in the world. Um, and he thought we were all monsters, and then he wanted to go check it out for himself. So he signed up for a gun class, so you can see all these racist, homophobic gun owners firsthand, and see how evil we are. And then he was like, "These guys are pretty chill." And he's like, "Yeah, they're not monsters. They don't want to go kill people." And then
Oh,
he
I've,
started.
I've heard that rhetoric. I couldn't tell you how many times. I've been in the debate many, many, many times. I used to debate quite a bit, especially on social media. I typically really don't anymore. I just let them have their ideas. I do have one friend of mine. She's pretty left leaning, and she's very anti gun. But I did sit down and talk with her and tell her and sort of educate her to understand that I didn't buy it because I want to hurt people. I bought it because I want to make sure that I have a way to defend myself if someone decides to hurt me.
Yeah, I have a ex girlfriend, uh, a Mom's Demand Action member now, which is kind of funny. Yeah, it went in like two different directions.
We all have bad dating experiences back there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. She's also a full blown communist too, but I'm a libertarian. Yeah. Well, I don't know why it didn't work out. I wanted to pitch my Patreon one more time before we go because we're not going, but I just wanted, since we have more people on, just to show people what we're doing with the Patreon money. What we're doing with the Patreon money we have from, John Crump at patreon.com/John Crump is we're doing a lot of 3D printing stuff, as well as other stuff. Uh, we have the first shipment of these going out tomorrow. We're doing 500 of those. They're the air protector for the mask. We're doing 500 of those, so that helps me buy material to do this. We also are making face shields. I don't have a complete face shield, but here's another face shield right here. You're going to see a little bit of foam going around here. You're going to see the plastic visor part go here, um, and and like an elastic band that goes back here, a fabric band, and this holds on the face mask. So it's like that, except it holds on the plastic and everything else like that. So we're using all that, and we're also picking up some masks for the hospitals. Right now, these are going out to Bellevue Hospital in New York tomorrow, and we are going to be producing as many as possible. Right now, we're doing 150 face shields, 500 of the ear protectors, and I don't know about 100 masks. I think are going to hospitals in New York and other places around the country that need it. And all the funds are coming from patreon.com/John Crump or paypal.me/John CC. That's where the money is going. It usually goes to 2A projects, but now it's going to something that I think is very important at this time. Then it will go back to 2A projects after we get through this.
I think that's really great to be sending all those out.
Yeah. Well, my wife is in the thick of things, so I have to.
Hmm.
And I have other family members that are nurses and stuff like that. As well
Well,
as
I work in home health care. It's a business that I started actually when my brother, who's terminally ill, um, when Obamacare kicked in, they actually dropped his case from the agency.
yeah.
So I started my own and took over his care.
Well, that's really great of you. That's something that you don't see.
Yeah,
Um,
you don't see it a lot. I can say that. There aren't a lot of us.
yeah. They are a lot of us. Yes, and it pays Trenchworth Chronicles, who's on the Black Swan Media Network. It does help with his podcast too. So yeah, so it does all that stuff. But right now, all the money is not even
He's
going to that.
shameless.
Yeah, it's not. It's not going to that right now. Well, I mean, I guess it is. I don't know. Well, everything's coming out of personal funds, and also the the Patreons and stuff like that. So that's all the same thing. But yeah, so just trying to get people involved, and we will continue ramping that up. So if you want to help out, you can help out. No obligation to help out, whatnot. But it's just something that I wanted to throw out there for people to let them know. When I started my Patreon, I started a Patreon and my PayPal. I wanted to tell people that it wasn't going to go to, hey, I'm going to buy a new PlayStation or something. It's going to go back into the community,
Right.
and that's what I've been doing with it, helping like people like Devin run his podcast and everything else.
Well, that's really awesome because it gets our word out there and makes makes it easier for people to be taught and educated and talked to.
Yeah, it helps. What do you think the key is to getting more women involved in firearms? I know one of the biggest growth area in firearms motors is women, but I would like to see that double at least the amount of women in firearms. How would you go about getting more women involved in firearms?
Okay, that's actually how I got into instructing, or how I decided to be an instructor, I guess. Um, because I was trying to talk to my female friends and, the other suburban housewives and my friends around the neighborhood. And most of them said they wanted to take the course, but they would want to take the course from a female instructor, which never really made much sense to me. I didn't seek out a female instructor. I actually sought out a male instructor, I guess, because as a female, you assume that men know more about guns than you do. Not true, by the way. uh, so I just decided I'll go ahead and, well, I can teach them then, but I need this little certificate that says that I'm allowed to. So that's what I did.
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of female instructors out there that are actually very good at what they do, and I think that people really need um, to seek out those female instructors. Like in Arizona, there's Jessica Campbell, who is also a member of the Black Swan Media family. She is a female instructor out in Arizona, and she does a hell of a job at teaching. And there's a lot of good female instructors, and I think I used to hold female only classes because I think it takes the pressure off the female. They don't feel as intimidated when it's mixed, because even though this is probably wrong thinking, but a lot of the females that I've talked to when I used to do my class, I used to own a training school. They used to think that it was going to be this testosterone filled class, which it's not really. But they used to think that. So by doing a female only class, it took away that fear of that class, whether it's a justifiable fear or not.
And that's what I found. There's a big issue with women feeling intimidated, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, and a lot of just simple lack of information out there. A lot of women don't know much about firearms, but there are so many women and men in the firearms business. But the thing is, I'm sort of immersed in it all the time, so I know, I see it, and they don't. This isn't something you scroll past when you're, flipping through Pinterest. So they don't see it all the time, which is kind of why I sort of throw it out, especially on my personal social medias. I'll throw it out fairly often. It's usually about every day. But everyone that I know knows that I'm into firearms now. It's definitely not a secret. So I kind of like that. It used to bother me, but I like it now because I get a lot of women who will drop me a DM and ask me about it because they know that they can ask me about it. And even if I don't know the answer, I can tell them I don't know. But I know a whole bunch of people who do. So what I'll do is I'll go find out, and then I'll come back to you and answer you. And that teaches both of us. Now we both know something we didn't know.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes instructors make is they try to BS when they don't know something. I think that always comes back to bite them because then the person finds out they don't really know about it, and then it makes them second guess all their training.
And I've actually been advised to do that. One of my biggest fears when I decided to get into being an instructor was being asked something I didn't know the answer to. I don't know why, but it just is because I'm supposed to know the answer. These people are looking at me to know the answer, and I don't have all the answers. Um, so that was one of my bigger fears, and I had another instructor actually tell me to just BS it, just make something up. I can't do that though, not in good conscience, because I'm training this person to take a firearm out into the world and use it to defend themselves and possibly use lethal force. I don't want to give them inaccurate information. That makes me a terrible instructor and an all out bad person. So, what I'll do is just tell them I don't know, but I'll find out. And that teaches both of us because now I know the next time that question is asked.
Yeah, it it definitely does, and I think the whole make something up thing is just it's crap because if you look at it, that person's gonna put their life into the advice and the training that you give them. And do you really want to give them bad information that's gonna maybe get them killed?
Exactly. No, I don't want to give them bad information, especially if it's information that could jeopardize their life or get them thrown in prison because I gave them some bull crap that wasn't an actual answer.
I'm glad you said the thing about the prison because a lot of firearms classes that I have attended or I've heard about or I've seen or videos I've seen and stuff, they give out terrible, terrible legal advice. Um, I'm kind of in the thick of the laws and stuff because of my position with GOA being a state director. I kind of have to know the state laws in and out. But there's a lot of people that don't know the state laws in and out. And even to myself, I say, hey, this is what I think. I was like, you got to verify that for the lawyer. I'm not going to tell you specifically this is going to get you off the hook or this is not going to get you off the hook. I'm saying this is your best bet to get off the hook because when it comes to law, I mean, you can be totally justified within the law and still get fried, or you can get, be totally outside the law and get away with it. It's the legal system's a funny thing.
Yeah, it really is. An instructor friend of mine actually just told me about U.S. Law Shield. So, and they'll send somebody out to your course and explain the law local to your state. I don't know.
Yeah,
I meant to call them up and find out, but I was just
U.S.
told about that.
U.S. Law Shield is a great company. Full disclosure, they have now hired me to do some consulting with them and write some stuff for them. Trying to translate some legalese into everyday speak because I guess lawyers aren't exactly the best people to translate into layman's terms. So I will be doing a lot of work with them over the summer, like a lot of work. Um, but yeah, so US Law Shield is a good group. I was a member before they approached me. I'm going to stay a member after that. One of the reasons why I agreed to do it is because I am a member and I do think they have the best service out there, which is good. It's a basic. It's like prepaid legal. If you get into trouble, they'll cover you. And with me being a state director for GOA and a gun rights advocate and a pretty well-known writer, if I screw up or not even screw up, if I'm totally legally justified in the law and I have to take the law into my own hands if I'm getting attacked, I shoot someone. I have no doubt in my mind they are going to come after me hard just because they would like to fry someone, a state director for GOA. So that's why I got US Law Shield.
I've actually had people say things like that to me. That if I ever needed to use my firearm, everybody knows that I'm so into firearms, or that I've made some, I don't know, secret person angry by some of the things that I have said, especially online, because I'm very vocal if I disapprove. But they'll tell you that if they like you, they'll tell a couple of their favorite people. But if they don't like you, they'll tell everybody. And I'll
Oh,
tell everybody.
oh yeah, oh yeah. When you get into 2A advocacy, you paint a target on your back. Devin will tell you. I was on a Antifa list of people they were going to target. Which was kind of funny.
I've never been on an Antifa list, but I have been on they were a variation of 3%er list.
A variation of three. I can get you off any 3% list. I'm big into that community.
I've been blacklisted on some 3%er lists, apparently.
They
Okay.
were going to target me. They were targeting so much crap, and then I went and found them. I tracked them down, so I went to them, and they didn't. Well, I was with like 3 other heavily armed people, and all of a sudden they didn't want to. They didn't have a problem with me anymore, and they were like, oh, "We don't know those guys." It's like, but you have the same logo, you know. Like, yeah, I know
I've
who.
never been threatened, actually. I've never been threatened. I've been called a lot of names. I've been called all kinds of names. They really like to pull the racist card. They like to play that one a lot. If you like guns, you must be a racist,
No, yeah,
which just doesn't make any logical sense to me at all.
yeah. You gotta have.
I used to get really defensive over it and sort of defend myself, but I don't anymore. I just invite them to prove to me that what you said about me is true.
What I do is, Devin will tell you this: if someone calls me a racist for being a gun guy, we're to be totally arguing something gun related, and they're like, "You're just a racist." Because I guess because I like guns, it's automatic. So I say, okay, well, maybe that's the case, but that doesn't disprove my point. So let's get back to the point. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. Just let's get back to the point. Usually, when they call you a name, it's because they've already lost a debate. So I just drive into them harder at that point. I smell. It's like a, being a shark and you smell blood in the water. You know.
I'm learning that. When I first got into the Second Amendment advocacy and attending rallies and talking to legislators and sending those emails. When I first got into all that, whenever somebody would call me a racist, I felt like I had to defend myself. Um, I guess it's really because I kind of fit the profile that you think of in your head. The
Damn.
white person with the boots and the southern accent, and I felt like I had to prove that I wasn't.
How
But
the
I
hell
don't feel that way anymore. I just let them say it.
you're from Ohio? How did you get a southern accent?
I'm sorry.
You're from Ohio. How did you get a southern accent?
I was born in Texas and raised by a bunch of hillbillies from Kentucky, so I
All
don't
right,
know.
there you go. There's the southern accent. That's
It's
that's
actually not a Texan accent at all. If you've ever been to Texas, it's not. I would say it's more hillbilly Kentucky.
yeah, it's definitely Kentucky. But I guess Kentucky and Ohio is kind of close.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is right down there.
Well, my both sets of grandparents were from Kentucky, so my parents have a pretty, especially my dad. He has a pretty thick accent, I think.
Well,
But I have people around here that ask me where I'm from, and I'm like 3 blocks that way.
well, the Hatfields and McCoys, I think the Hatfields are in Kentucky and the McCoys are in Ohio, actually. Okay.
Yeah, I think were they in Ohio? They might have been.
Yes, yes. One lived in the Kentucky side of the border, and the other one lived in Ohio.
I knew
The
Kentucky. I didn't know if one of them was in Ohio or not. They might have been.
always lived in the Ohio side.
Okay. Yeah, everybody knows the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Yeah, it's good. So what is this? John Voorhees is saying that Andrew Cuomo suspended pistol permits and closed down Remington. Interesting. I have to look into that. I don't think he can close down Remington though. Remington have government contracts. I think he definitely, if he tries to close down Remington, I don't think that will fly because they're exempt because of government contracts. I think they have government contracts, don't they? I don't know. Maybe not. I have to look into that. All right, we've been talking for about an hour, and that is it. Your if you look on Facebook or anywhere, your Instagram is linked in the description. But let's give it out anyway. Your Instagram,
Uh,
whatever you want to plug.
it's Velocity Vixen on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Velocity_Vixen556.
Yeah, there's actually a Black City Vixen Fox on Facebook too. That's like a bike riding group or something. I don't understand. Whatever.
Is it really? When
Yeah,
so I'm looking into starting my own website. So when I went to get my own website, somebody owned one that was called Velocity Vixen, and it was something to do with bikes.
yeah. Uh, follow the
I
right.
never bothered to check to see if they had one on Facebook or not.
Yeah, follow the right rabbit. I am the Virginia State Director for GOA. And then so yep, there you go. So I'm not really sure. Probably D Live or one of the other groups. For some reason the little icon where you're from didn't come through, but that's fine. All right. Thank you all, and remember we are raising money to get supplies to people that need it.
Yeah, y'all should donate to that because they need it.
Our paypal.me/JohnCC, and we usually just do 2A projects, but now we're just doing other projects as well to help out in this time of need. But yeah, that is it. I will be back later on in the week. Thank you all for tuning in. Um, it's really small, but the NRA can't completely fill it out. We have about 4 million members in GOA, so we're not as small as a lot of people think. We are small, but probably we're the second largest behind NRA. NRA is, yeah, I'm not going to badmouth any other gun organization besides Nagger. Screw those guys. But yeah,
My certifications are through the NRA, so I'm not allowed.
yeah, I bash them. I got banned from NRA stuff before for bashing them. If you want to watch the restream of it, follow the right rabbit. I guess you must be on D Live. I'm guessing. You can turn into youtube.com/John Crump 2. Good night to everyone out there, and have fun in Ohio. And
Thank you for having me.
thank you for coming on. Yeah, Devin's like, hey, I'm not going to come on your podcast. So like, dude, I already got you scheduled. He's like, no, I'm going to send someone else on your podcast. I'm like, all right, whatever. Hey, but thank you for coming on. We'll have you back in the future, and yeah, you have a great night. Okay. Um,
Thank you. You too.
I'll see you guys later on. Be safe out there. Enjoy your quarantine, and remember, the Second Amendment is the only right that cannot be taken away, but it can only be given away. So protect yours. And fix the NRA. We need to fix the NRA with better leadership. I don't think Wayne's going to go anywhere.
Mm-mm.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.